He had that win in Kentucky for Mitch McConnell. I want to go to Jeff Zeleny, who's been covering that race for us. And Jeff,
yes.
You know, one of the things we saw here, Allison Lundgren-Grimes made some mistakes, even though she had a lot of help also from the Clintons and a lot of support, pretty well-funded campaign. But Mitch McConnell, who's never lost, ran a almost perfect campaign.
He did, George. He has never lost. This is his sixth term, his sixth win. It was his toughest campaign by all respects, but he took this seriously from the very beginning. But, George, I think one thing sums up why Allison Grimes was unable to defeat Mitch McConnell. It comes in this flyer. It was in the mailboxes of every voter, every Republican voter in Kentucky. It has a face of Allison Grimes and a face of Barack Obama. One voter gave this to me today and said that's what they got. So she was just unable to overcome this deep concern and deep distrust in the president and distrust in the Democratic Party.
And I want to thank you, Jeff. I want to go to Nicolle Wallace as well. We see a lot of new women candidates on the Republican side this time around, a lot of focus on women's issues by the Democrats. But one of the things we're seeing out of Kentucky is that Grimes didn't do all that well with women, only won them by about 5 points.
Yeah, I think Republicans got a lot smarter in how they talked about some of the issues that had in the past alienated women. You saw in the Colorado race, and I know we're still waiting for any information about how that one's going. Republicans in the past 2 cycles allowed abortion and contraception to be lumped together. In this cycle, they finally got smart about separating them, and you saw Republican candidates talking about putting birth control pills over the counter in a way that let women come back to Republicans who maybe, no matter where they stood on the abortion issue, were put off by hearing Republican candidates talk about reproductive rights and contraception in the same breath. So I think you saw smarter language from Republicans that affected all women. And then I think you saw some fantastic women who I hope they all win tonight that could become the new face of a Republican Party. We could see a more female and a younger Republican Party if some female candidates like Mia Love, Elise Stefanik, who is a House candidate, Barbara Comstock, who's also a House candidate, and Joni Ernst, who's running for the Senate in Iowa. If they have a good night tonight, I think we could turn a page as Republican women and highlight these women.
And we're going to be watching that. I want to bring in Donna, Brazile, of course, a Democratic strategist, longtime ABC News contributor as well. You've been through a lot of these election nights. Speaking of Kentucky, big state for the Clintons. Allison Lundgren-Grimes close to Bill Clinton. Bill Clinton won it first time he ran in 1992. They have a sentimental attachment to that state, and Hillary went in as well, but it wasn't enough.
George, look, Allison was a Clinton delegate in 2008. She had a hard time explaining to Kentucky voters who she supported in the last presidential election. She tried to make it a choice between herself and Mitch McConnell. Unfortunately, there was a significant headwind that she had to overcome. But you know what? She's a first-time federal candidate. She's 35 years old. We'll see more of her in the future.
And Bill, Kristol, talk a little bit more about Mitch McConnell. He never gives away any emotion on his face whatsoever. Very terse guy, all business, yet he never loses.
Yeah, he runs extremely disciplined and tough campaigns, and you look at the numbers, and the voters of Kentucky don't love him, but they reelect him. They seem to do it every time by 4, 5, 6, 7 points. He will be, conceivably, could well be the majority leader of the United States Senate, which is something he has dreamed of being since he became to the Senate. I'd say, unlike a lot of senators who come there to run for president or to just generally be personalities in Washington or maybe advance a pet issue, I think the one thing Mitch McConnell has wanted for 30 years is to be majority leader of the United States Senate.
And he did say when he was out on the campaign trail, well, if he's the leader of the Senate, he'll be calling the plays. We'll see how true that ends up being.